Hi there, thanks for joining me today. I want to talk about a couple of things about the drive we've done just very recently from Edinburgh up to Scrabster to catch the ferry to Orkney, and range anxiety, and also public charging, in particular Pod Point, which I've had quite a bad experience with, and I just want to share that. A lot of people say that if you have an EV it's range anxiety. Well, I don't, never had it. So I want to give an example of why I don't get it in a minute. Hello folks, I'm Nigel. Thank you very much for joining me today. If you can subscribe and like, that's fantastic. Hit that bell. Getting so close to 2,000 now, and it would be great just to get there. We were sort of getting closer and closer and closer, and then it just suddenly stopped. I don't use public chargers very much. When I go on a long distance, I use the Tesla superchargers because they're so good and they are so cheap. And if you can catch them before 8 in the morning, you can get them for between 21 and 23p. Fantastic. That's cheaper than home charging. Though I do notice now the only grumbles we're getting now from Tesla superchargers are the cars that aren't and Teslas. And I always knew this would happen. And some of them, unfortunately, some are parking, taking up 2 spaces, and moaning the lead's not long enough. Well, if you have a Tesla, it's fantastic, but sadly I don't charge public chargers much, and I have used Charge Place Scotland, which I found fantastic since I lived in Scotland. And when I first came up here, they were around about 20 to 30p kilowatt hour, and now they've doubled, which is a big shame because it was such a good price. It was pretty much like charging at home at the daytime rate. Supermarket I go to, I thought I'd give them a try a few weeks ago, and it took quite a while, and I thought by now I would have half-filled my Tesla. It was the Pod Point. Went to the Pod Point and had troubles. It didn't seem to connect, and I used the card. It's meant to be contactless, and I ended up using my own lead in the end, and apparently it took £10 for a £2 charge. So I have this £8 credit. I mean, imagine going into a supermarket and buying some bananas or something for a couple of pounds, and they keep £8 of your and don't give you the change. Well, you come back again if you want to use it. It's unthinkable. It's a disgrace that anyone should do that. So, okay, the Pod Point is contactless. We always wanted contactless, so you could pay. But is this a loophole that Pod Point are doing? Are others doing this also? Because I'm a virgin as far as public charging is concerned. I only use Tesla, and that's not that often. And you reverse it, and I keep saying it, plug in, off you go, and get on with the rest of your life. So when it comes to others, so I thought, well, I've got this £8. So on this trip from, we're going from Edinburgh up to the top of Scotland to Scrabster. We've got to stop at Inverness, the last charge. And that's when I'll be talking about in a minute about range anxiety that I didn't get. So we had to stop at Inverness to pick up some supplies, and there it is. It's a Pod Point. Great, I can get some of my other £8 back. But I tried and couldn't. And I'm damned if I was going to swipe my card again so they can take another £10. Now it may be that they wouldn't. I didn't really want to give them a chance. I mean, imagine going into a shop and buying something for a couple of pounds, and they take £10 and keep the other £8, so you would go and have to visit again. It's absolutely ridiculous. And Pod Point, sorry, it's a total disgrace. Now, Pod Point were valued 4 years ago at 352 million, and they were sold for just 10 million to EDF, the French electrical supplier. That was last year. But come on, they've got to really come up to the 2026. People are not going to accept that. It's totally disgraceful. And the good will survive, like Tesla, and the poor will fall by the wayside. And I think this really is a big liability, as Pod Point are in many Tesco car parks. They probably should get rid of them. The thing about Inverness, for me, it's the last supercharger. It's the most northerly. So when you get to sort of John O'Groat, Scrabster, Gills Bay, It's about 100 miles, so you think, well, that's more than enough for what I need. The range is really good, so not a problem. But so if anywhere, if you should get some range anxiety. So after the fun and games of not getting any sort of charge out of Pod Point, went to the supercharger in Inverness, just plugged in, went and got a coffee, weren't there very long, and then we set off for Scrabster. It's over a 2-hour drive. It's lovely during the day when it's dry, but pretty horrible at night when it's raining. So the touchscreen, when we put in the destination Scrabster, it tells you what time you'll get there and also what percentage you'll have left. And it told us we'd get there at 5:45 with a percentage of 32%. Which is great information because you can, the ferry, we had to be there for 6 o'clock, so that was about right for a 7 o'clock ferry. And as you can see here, the 32, it started off at 32 percentage, but went up to 40%. We would then take the ferry across to Orkney, and we still got about 15 miles to go, so that's great. As you went up a hill, that percentage would sometimes come down. Like there, it went to 36%, and then it would go up. So there really is no issue when driving, because you know when the next supercharger is. So that's why you should never really have any range anxiety, simply because you know what the percentage is going to be. And what time you're going to be there. So that's another thing. It's funny, you talk about range anxiety. When I first had a car, it was, is the car going to get there anxiety? It was a Ford Anglia and didn't like going much more than about 40 miles. This was a 1960, just like the one in Harry Potter. They could have taken that, put it in the film, you wouldn't have to do anything to it. It had all the sort of the dents and rust and patches of filler in it, and £20 car. That I bought in 72, so it was about 12 years old, and different world to the cars today, but certainly didn't have range anxiety in those days. Well, I did really. I did have range anxiety because I never knew if I was ever going to get there.
The government.
And then we arrived, so you can see we arrive on time. So it's a very simple process of looking to know why you should never get range anxiety. So thanks for joining me today. Hope you can subscribe and like. Getting so close to 2,000 now. I'd be interesting to hear what you think about Pod Point. I did try phoning them and went on the website, but all you get is an automated phone call, and it takes you round and round and round in circles. They seem most interested in selling you a home charger,
Voicing and account queries, please press 1. For general inquiries, please press 2. Hello, and thank you for calling our general inquiry line. Did you know that most of our frequently asked questions can be found on our help centre by visiting help.pod-point.com. If, however, you can't find the answer to your question, you can use the contact us form.
I'd like to know what you think. I've got £8 invested in Pod Point, which is ridiculous, because with Tesla you reverse in, you plug in, you do something else, time management, and for those people that haven't got time to charge, and that's only a small amount of time. Most of the charging is done at home. It's very rare that I actually do go to a Tesla supercharger. So please let me know what you think. Are Pod Point as rubbish as I think? Because I can't even give them 1 out of 10. Well, I can give them 1 out of 10 for the first charge, but then 0 out of 10 and a -1 simply for having my money. Tesla, 10 out of 10 every time, and even though people who are non-Tesla are the ones complaining now, well, yeah, okay. It's not Tesla's fault if your charge point is in the wrong place. Sorry, but that's the way I feel, and I have seen places where non-Teslas have been taking up to 2 charge points, which is blooming ridiculous. You shouldn't be doing that. What do you think? Let me know. Haven't scripted this, so I've tried to do this sort of as naturally as possible. Let me know if you think it's good or bad. It's getting really dark now, but an amazing iPhone 15, bloody hell. Gosh, imagine trying to do this with a VHS recorder in the 1980s. I would have been black by now. Thanks ever so much, and yeah, take care, drive safely, and yeah, see you next time. Bye.